Lieutenant Jack Murphy rolled his shoulders as he stood in the transport bay of Galactic Council Station Alpha. The metallic walls gleamed under the artificial lights, making the massive chamber seem even more alien. Jack was the first human assigned as a permanent diplomatic liaison to the station, a responsibility that weighed heavily on him. "Breathe," he whispered to himself. "Just breathe." The transport bay doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a towering figure that made Jack freeze momentarily. Ambassador Zoltok stood nearly 8 feet tall, his reptilian body covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors with each movement. 6 muscular arms extended from his torso, each ending in 3-fingered hands. "Lieutenant Murphy," Zoltok's voice rumbled through a translator device on his neck. "Welcome to Station Alpha. Your journey was comfortable, I hope." Jack stepped forward, extending his hand before realizing the gesture might not translate. To his relief, Zoltok reached out with his lowest right arm and carefully shook Jack's hand. "The journey was fine, Ambassador. Thank you for the personal welcome." Zoltok's jaw shifted in what Jack hoped was a smile. The arrival of the first human diplomat deserves proper ceremony. "Come, I'll show you to your quarters." As they walked through the station's wide corridors, Jack couldn't help but stare at the variety of beings they passed. Some floated rather than walked, others moved on multiple legs, and a few seemed to shimmer in and out of visibility. "The station houses representatives from 27 species currently," Zoltok explained, noticing Jack's wide eyes. "You are the 28th. It's more diverse than our briefings suggested," Jack admitted. They passed a large transparent wall, revealing an enormous open space, filled with equipment Jack didn't recognize. Beings of various forms were engaged in what appeared to be exercise, though the movements and machines were unlike anything on Earth. "Is that a gym?" Jack asked, stopping to watch. Zoltok's scales flickered with blue light, amusement, according to Jack's cultural briefing. "Indeed. Physical fitness is one of the few universal values across species. Different evolutionary paths, similar cultural outcomes." A group of insectoid beings were lifting what looked like massive metal spheres, their exoskeletons gleaming under the lights. Even from a distance, Jack could tell each sphere probably weighed several hundred pounds. "Impressive," Jack murmured. "The Krasari are naturally strong," Zoltok explained. "They evolved on a high-gravity world. Most species have their physical specialties." Jack nodded, still watching the display. "What about humans? What's our specialty supposed to be?" Zoltok seemed to hesitate. "That remains to be seen. Many wonder about human physical capabilities. Your species is somewhat of a mystery." They continued walking until they reached Jack's quarters, a surprisingly Earth-like apartment modified for human comfort. "Rest today," Zoltok said. "Tomorrow, perhaps you would join me at the fitness center. It would be an excellent way to meet representatives in an informal setting." Jack smiled. "I'd like that. Regular exercise is part of my routine anyway." After Zoltok left, Jack sat on the edge of his bed, thinking about the aliens he'd seen in the gym. They were stronger, faster, and more agile than any human could hope to be. Tomorrow would be interesting, to say the least. He opened his personal bag and pulled out a small holograph of Earth. "Don't mess this up, Murphy," he told himself. "First impressions matter." Little did Jack know just how true that would prove to be. The station's fitness center was even more impressive up close. Jack stood at the entrance, taking in the vast open space filled with equipment designed for bodies nothing like his own. The ceiling soared nearly 50 feet high to accommodate the larger species, and the floor was divided into zones with different gravity settings. "This is remarkable," Jack said, trying not to stare as a jellyfish-like being floated through what appeared to be an anti-gravity obstacle course. Zoltok's scales rippled with a hint of pride. Station Alpha boasts the most comprehensive multi-species fitness facility in this sector. Follow me. As they walked through the facility, conversations hushed. Alien eyes, some multifaceted, others slitted, a few glowing, turned to track the human's movement. Jack straightened his posture, feeling like a specimen under examination. "Is that the human diplomat?" whispered a voice loud enough for Jack to hear. So small, came another whisper. And soft-looking. Jack pretended not to notice, but his cheeks flushed slightly. He followed Zoltok to an area with equipment that looked somewhat familiar: weights, running machines, and climbing structures. "This section was modified when we learned humans would join the station," Zoltok explained, "based on Earth fitness data we received." "Thank you." "That was thoughtful," Jack said, genuinely touched by the gesture. He began with simple stretches, aware of the growing audience watching him. A group of the insectoid beings he now recognized as Krasari gathered nearby, their mandibles clicking in what sounded like amusement. "Look at the flexibility," one said. "Like a hatchling's exoskeleton before hardening." Jack ignored them and moved to a running machine. He set it to a moderate pace and began jogging. This drew even more attention, with various aliens pausing their workouts to observe. After 15 minutes of steady running, Jack moved to the weight section. The lightest weights available were still heavier than what he normally used, but he managed to lift them with proper form. A loud clicking sound, laughter, came from the Krasari group. The largest among them stepped forward, its iridescent exoskeleton gleaming under the lights. 4 arms crossed over its thorax in what Jack recognized as a posture of superiority. "I am Vexinar, 3rd-ranked champion of the Krasari Defense Force," the insectoid announced, mandibles spreading wide. "Is this truly how humans train? Or are you deliberately hiding your abilities?" Jack set the weights down carefully. "I'm Lieutenant Jack Murphy. And yes, this is a standard human workout. We focus on balanced fitness rather than maximum strength." Vexinar lifted a weight 5 times heavier than Jack's with one arm, holding it effortlessly. "This is what we give our younglings for first molting gifts." The surrounding aliens chittered and rumbled with what Jack assumed was laughter. Zoltok stepped forward, his scales darkening with concern. "Vexinar, Lieutenant Murphy is a diplomatic representative. And I simply offer cultural exchange," Vexinar interrupted. "The human should demonstrate his species' physical capabilities, unless humans are as fragile as they appear." Jack felt a cold knot form in his stomach. This wasn't just about exercise anymore. It was about humanity's standing among these species. "Different evolutionary paths lead to different strengths," Jack said carefully. "Comparing across species isn't always meaningful." A diplomatic answer. Vexinar's mandibles clicked rapidly. Perhaps the human would prefer comparing directly. A friendly competition to showcase our respective abilities. Before Jack could respond, another human approached. A woman with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. "Lieutenant Murphy," she said quietly. "I'm Dr. Elia Patel, Cynobiology. Be careful what you agree to. There's more at stake here than you realize." Jack looked from Dr. Patel to Vexinar, then to the crowd of aliens watching with intense interest. Whatever he decided next would shape perceptions of humanity for years to come. Jack looked from Dr. Patel to the imposing Krasari warrior and back again. The fitness center had grown quiet, dozens of alien species waiting for his response. This moment, he realized, might define humanity's reputation in the galactic community. A competition. Jack kept his voice level despite his racing heart. "I'm interested, but I'd need to know the details before agreeing." Vexinar's compound eyes gleamed. "Of course. I propose a 7-part trial of physical abilities: strength, speed, endurance, agility, balance, coordination, and what your species calls power. Basic physical attributes any evolved species should possess." Dr. Patel frowned. "Lieutenant Murphy isn't here as an athlete. He's a diplomat. And what better diplomacy than cultural exchange?" Vexinar countered, mandibles clicking. "Unless humans fear showing their true capabilities." Jack felt the trap closing around him. Refuse and humans would be seen as weak or cowardly. Accept, and he risked humiliation against a clearly superior physical specimen. "I accept," Jack said before he could talk himself out of it. "But I'll need time to prepare." 1 week. A ripple of clicks and whistles spread through the watching crowd. Vexnar's exoskeleton seemed to brighten with excitement. "Acceptable," the Krazeri champion said. "1 station rotation cycle. The competition will be held in the main exhibition arena." Zoltok stepped forward, scales flashing with concern. "As station liaison, I must approve this event. It will be conducted with safety protocols in place, and no permanent harm will come to either competitor." "Agreed," Vexnar said, extending one of his 4 arms toward Jack. "To honorable competition." Jack shook the chitinous appendage carefully. "To honorable competition." As the crowd dispersed, Dr. Patel pulled Jack aside, her expression tight with worry. "My office, now," she said in a low voice. 20 minutes later, Jack sat in Dr. Patel's cramped office, surrounded by biological specimens and holographic anatomical displays. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Dr. Patel paced the small space. "The Krazeri evolved on a world with 1.8 times Earth's gravity. Their exoskeletons can withstand pressures that would crush a human. They're naturally stronger, faster, and more durable than we are." Jack nodded. "I suspected as much from watching them. But I couldn't back down." "This isn't about pride." Dr. Patel stopped pacing. "It's about interspecies politics. The Krazeri are trying to establish dominance over newcomers. If they humiliate you, it affects humanity's standing with all species." "Then I won't let them humiliate me," Jack said simply. Dr. Patel's expression softened slightly. "You don't understand. Most species here evolved with specific advantages. The Krazeri have strength and speed. The Volari can manipulate their body density. The Mrel can redirect energy through their cellular structure. Humans don't have these spectacular adaptations." Jack leaned forward. "What do we have then?" "That's what I've been studying." Dr. Patel activated a holographic display showing comparative xenobiology. "Humans are generalists. We don't excel in any one area, but we're decent at almost everything. And we have a few unique advantages." She highlighted the human figure. "Our cooling system, sweating, is remarkably efficient. Our endurance is actually exceptional. And our adaptability is off the charts compared to most species." Jack processed this information. "So I won't win strength contests against Vexnar?" "Not a chance," Dr. Patel confirmed. "But if you can design the right strategy, focusing on the events where human physiology gives you an edge." "I might not embarrass our entire species," Jack finished. "Exactly." Dr. Patel handed him a data tablet. "I've compiled everything I know about Krazeri physiology. Their weaknesses, limitations, and tendencies." Jack took the tablet, feeling the weight of responsibility. "Thank you, Dr. Patel." "Elia," she corrected. "And don't thank me yet. You've got 1 week to prepare for a competition that could alter humanity's place in the galaxy." As Jack left her office, his personal communicator beeped with an incoming message from Earth Command. "Diplomatic situation update requested." Jack sighed. How exactly was he supposed to explain this? The exhibition arena buzzed with excitement. Beings from across the station had gathered to witness the unprecedented competition between human and Krazeri. Viewing platforms floated at various heights to accommodate different species, and translation devices ensured everyone could follow the proceedings. Jack stood at the entrance, trying to calm his racing heart. He wore simple workout clothes, shorts and a fitted shirt made of moisture-wicking material Dr. Patel had specially designed for the event. "You ready?" Olivia asked, adjusting the monitoring device on Jack's wrist. "As ready as I'll ever be," Jack replied, his eyes scanning the massive crowd. From the opposite entrance, Vexnar emerged to thunderous applause. The Krazeri champion had polished his exoskeleton to a brilliant shine, and the 4 arms on his torso flexed impressively. Behind him marched a group of Krazeri supporters, their mandibles clicking in a rhythmic chant. Quite the entrance, Sam muttered. They really know how to work a crowd. Ambassador Zoltok appeared in the center of the arena, his 6 arms raised for silence. His scales had shifted to a formal purple hue as he took on the role of official mediator. Welcome to this historic cultural exchange. His amplified voice echoed through the arena. Today, representatives from humanity and the Krasari Collective will demonstrate their physical capabilities in 7 trials. This is not merely competition. It is mutual understanding through physical expression. The crowd rumbled with approval. Jack stepped forward to meet Vexenard in the center, where Zoltok waited. Competitors will shake appendages to show respect, Zoltok instructed. Jack extended his hand, meeting Vexenar's much larger front limb. The Krasari's grip was firm but controlled, a reminder of the strength he was holding back. May your species learn from this demonstration, Vexenar said, his translated voice carrying a hint of condescension. Looking forward to it, Jack replied simply. The first event was raw strength testing, exactly what Jack had been dreading. Competitors would lift progressively heavier weights until failure. Vexenar went first, easily hoisting weights that would crush a human. The crowd buzzed with appreciation as the Krasari showed no signs of strain even at weights approaching 1,000 pounds. Remember the strategy, Dr. Patel whispered as Jack prepared for his turn. Lift respectable weights with perfect form. Don't strain for what you can't handle. Jack nodded and approached the lifting platform. He managed a respectable showing, lifting weights that would impress on Earth, but fell far short of Vexenar's performance. Still, his technique was flawless, and a few of the more technically minded aliens nodded in appreciation. The human demonstrates skill, if not power, a floating announcer commented through the translation system. Vexenar easily claimed victory in the first event. The second, a speed trial through an obstacle course, went similarly, with the Krasari's multiple limbs and natural agility giving him a significant advantage. By the third event, a precision throwing competition, whispers were spreading through the crowd. The human is overmatched. Why did they send such a physically limited specimen? Perhaps they are showing respect by not sending their warriors. Jack tried to tune out the comments as he prepared for the fourth event, a balance challenge on a narrow beam. To everyone's surprise, he performed nearly as well as Vexenar, with human bipedal balance proving unexpectedly effective. A marginal improvement, the announcer noted, but the Krasari champion leads 3 events to 0. As they prepared for the 5th event, Jack caught Vexenar watching him with compound eyes that seemed to gleam with satisfaction. Your species performs better than expected, the Krasari said, mandibles clicking. Though not nearly well enough. Jack smiled slightly. We're just getting started. Dr. Patel checked Jack's vitals during the brief rest period. Your core temperature and heart rate are perfect, she whispered. Vexenar's exoskeleton is already showing signs of heat stress. The endurance events are coming up. Jack nodded, watching the Krasari champion flex his limbs. Vexenar had won the opening rounds as expected, but Jack wasn't trying to win those events. He was conserving energy while studying his opponent's movements. The next event would test endurance, and that's where humanity's evolutionary advantages would finally come into play. Jack spent the next morning poring over Dr. Patel's data on Krasari physiology. The more he learned, the more daunting his challenge seemed. The insectoid species possessed natural armor, 4 arms with crushing strength, and reflexes twice as fast as the average human. This isn't looking good, he muttered, scrolling through the performance metrics. A knock at his door interrupted his studying. When he opened it, he found 2 humans waiting. A tall man with close-cropped red hair and a shorter woman with dark skin and bright eyes. Lieutenant Murphy, the woman asked. I'm Olivia Bennett, Communications. This is Sam Carter, Engineering. We heard about your upcoming competition. Jack grimaced. News travels fast. It's all anyone's talking about, Sam said, stepping inside when Jack gestured them in. First human-alien physical competition in station history. It's a big deal. And a big problem, Jack admitted. I'm outmatched in almost every category. Olivia nodded sympathetically. That's why we're here. The entire human contingent wants to help. Sam dropped a duffel bag on the floor. I've been modifying equipment to help you train. Olivia's been gathering intelligence on previous Crozzeri competitions. Jack felt a surge of gratitude. I didn't realize there were other humans aboard. 12 of us total, Olivia explained. Mostly technical support staff. We keep a low profile, but we stick together. For the next hour, they strategized. Sam had designed resistance bands that mimicked Crozzeri movement patterns. Olivia had compiled videos of Crozzeri athletes, noting how they tired during extended competitions. Their exoskeletons are incredibly strong, Sam explained, but their respiratory system isn't efficient by human standards. They gas out after intense activity. Jack nodded, remembering Dr. Patel's notes. So endurance is our edge. Exactly, Olivia confirmed. And they've never adapted to temperature variations the way humans have. Our ability to sweat gives us a huge cooling advantage. Jack's personal tablet beeped with a message from Earth Command. He grimaced as he read it. Problems? Sam asked. Just my superiors wondering why the first human diplomat is engaging in a physical competition instead of, actual diplomacy. Jack set the tablet down. They're sending performance specialists to assist and monitor. They're worried about humanity's image, Olivia said. Can't blame them. Jack stood up, suddenly feeling the pressure of representing his entire species. Then let's get to work. We have 6 days left. The training regimen they developed was brutal but strategic. Each morning, Jack worked with Sam on strength exercises designed to maximize human biomechanics rather than match Crozzeri power. Afternoons were spent with Olivia analyzing Crozzeri movement patterns and developing counter-strategies. Dr. Petal joined them on the 3rd day, bringing specialized equipment to monitor Jack's vitals during training. Your heart efficiency is improving, she noted, checking his readings after a particularly grueling session, and your body is adapting to the station's slightly higher gravity. Will it be enough? Jack asked between heavy breaths. Dr. Patel's expression remained neutral. The Crozzeri have evolved for power. You've evolved for persistence. This competition will test which evolutionary strategy prevails. On the 5th day, Jack received a visitor, Ambassador Zoltok, who watched silently as Jack completed a complex obstacle course Sam had designed. Impressive adaptation, the reptilian diplomat said when Jack finished. Most species train to enhance their natural advantages. You train to compensate for disadvantages. Jack wiped sweat from his brow. Humans have always been adaptable. It's our greatest strength. Zoltok's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue hue. Perhaps, but Vexnar has never lost a physical challenge. He trains 14 hours daily. I don't need to be better than him at everything, Jack replied. I just need to be good enough at the right things. As Zoltok left, Jack received another message from Earth Command. Remember, Lieutenant, you represent all of humanity. Do not embarrass us. No pressure, Jack thought as he returned to his training. No pressure at all. The 5th event was announced as an endurance challenge. A circular track appeared in the center of the arena, with environmental controls that could alter temperature and humidity. Jack felt a surge of confidence. This was exactly what they had planned for. Competitors will maintain a steady pace while environmental conditions change. Zoltok explained. Last to remain in motion wins. Vexnar clicked his mandibles confidently. Such tests favor the strong. My exoskeleton provides protection against environmental extremes. Jack simply nodded, taking his position on the track. Dr. Patel gave him a thumbs up from the sidelines, where she monitored his vitals on a small screen. The signal sounded, and both competitors began moving at a steady pace. The first few minutes were easy, with optimal conditions for both species. Jack matched Vexnar stride for stride, maintaining a comfortable rhythm that he could sustain for hours. The human moves efficiently. observed one of the floating commentators, though the Kruzeri champion appears equally comfortable. After 15 minutes, the environmental controls activated. The temperature rose gradually, and humidity increased. Jack felt the first beads of sweat form on his skin, exactly as planned. Vexnar maintained his pace, but Jack noticed subtle changes in the Kruzeri's movement. The clicking of his exoskeleton became more pronounced, and his breathing grew heavier through his spiracles. 30 minutes in, the heat had become intense. Jack was sweating freely now, his body's natural cooling system working exactly as it had evolved to do. Vexnar, however, began to slow. The Kruzeri's exoskeleton, so advantageous in strength contests, now trapped heat against his body. The human shows remarkable temperature regulation, the announcer noted with surprise, while the Kruzeri champion appears to be experiencing thermal stress. By the 40-minute mark, Vexnar's movements had become labored. His forearms, which had lifted enormous weights with ease, now pumped awkwardly as he struggled to maintain pace. Jack, though tired, continued his steady rhythm, his body adapting to the conditions as humans had done for hundreds of thousands of years on the savannas of Earth. "Are you well, Champion Vexnar?" Zoltak called out, scales shifting to concerned yellow. "I." "Continue," Vexnar managed, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. At 53 minutes, Vexnar stumbled. He quickly recovered, but the crowd gasped. The supposedly superior Kruzeri was faltering while the human maintained his pace. Jack didn't allow himself to feel premature triumph. He focused on his breathing, on the efficient movement Stam had drilled into him, on the cooling techniques Dr. Patel had refined. At the 1-hour mark, Vexnar stopped. His exoskeleton had overheated, and his multiple limbs trembled with exhaustion. "The human wins Event 5, Zoltak announced, to murmurs of astonishment from the crowd. The 6th event, an underwater agility course, also played to human advantages. While Kruzeri were not natural swimmers, humans had adapted to water environments throughout their evolution. Jack completed the course with comfortable efficiency, while Vexnar struggled with buoyancy and movement. "Another victory for the human," the announcer declared, incredulity evident in the translated voice. "The competition stands at 3 victories for Kruzeri, 2 for human." As they prepared for the final event, Jack noticed a change in the atmosphere. The crowd, which had initially viewed him with dismissive curiosity, now watched with genuine interest. Even Vexnar regarded him differently, compound eyes studying Jack with what might have been respect. "The final challenge," Zoltak announced, "will test all physical attributes simultaneously. A comprehensive course requiring strength, speed, endurance, and adaptability." Vexnar approached Jack before they took their positions. "Your species has unexpected qualities," the Kruzeri admitted. "This final contest will be genuine." Jack nodded. "That's all I wanted, a fair assessment of our different evolutionary paths." As they moved to the starting line, Jack caught sight of Olivia, Sam, and Dr. Patel watching intently. Whatever happened next would shape perceptions of humanity in this new galactic community. The starting signal sounded, and both competitors launched into the final challenge, each representing billions of years of different evolutionary history. The final challenge was a marvel of engineering, a massive obstacle course that spiraled upward through the arena. Each section tested different abilities. Strength zones requiring competitors to move heavy objects, speed sections with shifting platforms, endurance segments that seemed to stretch endlessly, and problem-solving areas where the path forward wasn't immediately clear. Jack and Vexnar began simultaneously. The Kruzeri burst ahead in the first strength zone, his 4 powerful arms moving obstacles that Jack had to leverage carefully. The crowd cheered as Vexnar built a substantial lead. "The natural order reasserts itself," a voice commented from the crowd. Jack didn't rush. He remembered Dr. Patel's advice. "Pace yourself. The course is designed to exhaust competitors before the finish." In the speed section, Vexnar's lead increased further. His multiple limbs gripped shifting platforms with ease, while Jack carefully timed his movements. By the first quarter of the course, the Kraseri led by nearly 2 minutes. The human falls behind, the announcer noted. Champion Vexenar's early advantage appears decisive. But as the course transitioned to its middle sections, featuring climbing walls, narrow balance beams, and underwater tunnels, something began to change. Vexenar's pace slowed noticeably. His earlier exertion in the strength and speed zones had depleted his energy reserves, and his breathing had become labored. Jack maintained his steady pace, neither slowing nor accelerating dramatically. His earlier conservation of energy was now paying dividends. Where Vexenar struggled with overheated limbs, Jack's efficient cooling system kept his body temperature regulated. By the 3-quarter mark, Jack had closed the gap significantly. Vexenar still led, but his movements had become increasingly erratic. The final section, a long endurance climb to the pinnacle of the arena, would decide everything. The human approaches. The crowd's energy shifted as they realized the competition remained undecided. Jack could see Vexenar just 20 meters ahead, the Kraseri's exoskeleton now dull with exertion. The final climb was steep, requiring both strength and stamina. Vexenar began strongly, his 4 arms finding purchase on the climbing wall. Then, halfway up, the Kraseri stopped. His limbs trembled with exhaustion. His breathing came in sharp clicks through his spiracles. Jack continued his steady ascent, drawing even with his competitor. Their eyes met, compound insectoid and human, sharing a moment of mutual recognition. Both had pushed their evolutionary adaptations to their limits. "Keep going," Jack said between controlled breaths. "Finish strong." Vexenar's mandibles clicked softly. "Why encourage your opponent?" "Because this isn't about winning," Jack replied, continuing to climb. "It's about showing what we're capable of. Both of us." Together they resumed climbing, neither pulling ahead dramatically. When they finally reached the summit platform, they arrived within seconds of each other. Jack first, then Vexenar. Zoltak appeared on the platform, scales shifting through amazed colors. "We have a winner, Lieutenant Jack Murphy of Earth." Jack extended his hand to Vexenar, who seemed momentarily confused before grasping it with one tired limb. "Your victory is earned," the Kraseri acknowledged. "Humans possess admirable qualities. Different evolutionary paths," Jack said, still catching his breath. "Different strengths." The crowd continued their approval as Zoltak raised both competitors' arms. "Today we witnessed more than competition," the ambassador announced. "We observed the beauty of divergent evolution, how different paths can lead to excellence expressed in different ways." Later, in the recovery area, Dr. Patel checked Jack's vitals while Sam and Olivia beamed with pride. "You've changed perceptions," Dr. Patel said quietly. "The station's scientific community is already requesting data on human physiology." Jack smiled tiredly. "I just hope Earth Command is satisfied." His communication device beeped with an incoming message from Earth. The screen displayed a simple message: "Well done, Lieutenant. Humanity stands tall." In the weeks that followed, Jack established a cross-species training program that became unexpectedly popular. Aliens sought to understand human endurance techniques, while humans learned from the specialized adaptations of other species. Vexenar became a regular participant, his initial arrogance replaced by genuine curiosity. "The universe has much to teach us," he told Jack during one session, "if we are wise enough to learn." What began as a challenge had transformed into something more valuable, a bridge between evolutionary paths that had developed worlds apart, but now converged in mutual respect. The gym, once a place of division, had become a center for true galactic exchange.